There's a lot of things when it comes to communication, and this is the part where it's like you wish it was taught in school, where some of it is just skill building. I mean, there's a ton that is underneath that, where you have to talk about what's being, what the raw spots are that are being touched and all of that. But some of it is skill building, it's really learning how to practice specific framing. I have to bring something difficult up. I don't know the words to say. Sometimes the best thing to do is literally go online and Google, like, what are the words to say? And I think sometimes that gets like pushed down as not being as good or something like that. But read the book Difficult Conversations, Google, how do I bring this up with somebody? Because the thing is that it's not going to feel good to do it, or maybe it'll never feel great to do it. But the more that you do it, the better you're going to feel. But you're not going to feel good until you practice doing it in a new way. And sometimes that means mimicking something that you read or mimicking a person that you've seen or something like that. So, something I always suggest to people is to really start to use framing. And for example, one thing that you could use that we teach in Gottman, so of course I'll utilize that as the example, but there's lots of examples, is when you're upset about something, talking about yourself and saying what you've noticed, saying how you feel about that, and saying what you need. And so if you can just use those three segment starters, then you're going to do a better job expressing all of that stuff that's going on in your head. And so what that might look like is, honey, I've noticed that the house has been way messier this week. I feel really frustrated by that. And I need us to come up with some sort of plan for cleaning it up. Or, honey, I've noticed that we've spent all of our time cleaning the house this week. A lot of it has been focused on that, and I feel overwhelmed. I need time to be able to rest. And so just using that can help you to start to get used to expressing what you're thinking and what you're feeling. When you hear that, the one thing that I hope you notice as you're listening is that it's all about you. So when you're having a difficult conversation, even if what you want is the other person to change, the most important thing that you do is that you focus on you, what you're noticing, what you're feeling, what you need. Because by doing that, number one, you're much clearer. That is actually what's happening. And number two, you're making sure to reduce defensiveness. When we're having difficult conversations, we want to try to reduce defensiveness as much as we can in our own parts. And so for the person bringing up the problem, how do you bring it up in a way that is compassionate and fair and about what you're noticing and not pointing fingers? And as the person listening, how do you learn to have difficult conversations without being defensive? That's a huge part of learning how to have difficult conversations, and it shuts conversations down when we're defensive. And so as you're practicing hearing difficult things from somebody, their feelings or their requests, learning, how do I take a deep breath and just respond with either validating what they're saying or by taking responsibility. You're right, the house was a mess this week. Or I could see why you would be exhausted with all of the stuff we've been doing around the house. I totally get that. And so if you can try those two things, that's going to help you to start practicing difficult conversations in a new way.